Welcome to season 7 of the It Factor podcast. New stories, new guests. If you want to come on a podcast where you can tell your stories, where you can talk how you want to talk, 7 years in, come on the It Factor podcast. And also, the motto is still the same: to keep changing the narrative. If you're ready for great conversations, welcome home.
Welcome to the It Factor podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson, and today we have someone special. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
My name is Julian Shaw. I'm a local. Well, I live in Texas. I've been working for Marvel for about 5 years now, and I love to draw.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So I say, first off, how are you doing mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Man, I got three little girls, so their ages are 4, 2, and they're 8 month old. So she just turned 8 months old, so I'm not getting very much sleep. So
Yeah.
mentally, I am kind of just on cruise control, man. If you got kids yourself or no?
Man, it's crazy. My daughter, me and my wife just had my first daughter, man, and she's three
Yeah.
months. So I understand your pain.
Yeah, man, you did that about that third time, man. You know what? You know what's funny is like the second one is so much easier than the first one
Oh wow.
because they try to imitate the older one, and then they
Mhm.
they pick up on language much faster, walking, potty training. They always want to imitate the older sibling.
Oh man. Okay. Okay, that
So
makes sense. So thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
no problem, man. So you got to, and if you don't have sometimes, and they play with each other all the time. They're just a
Mhm.
tag team. They're always with each other. And then, sometimes you're a single parent, man. You got to have at least two, at least.
Got you. I
Yeah,
got you. I'm with that. Same. I grew up single parent home. Glad now me and my wife and our daughter. And after a while, give us a couple times. We're gonna have another child.
yeah. I got you, man.
But yeah, definitely, man. That leads to my next question, man. How cool is it, to be a husband and father, man?
You know what, man? It's weird. When I was younger and I wanted to pursue an art career,
Mhm.
you kind of convince yourself of the things you can't have, the things you got to sacrifice in order to have a lifestyle that you want, to make an art. And I always told myself like, oh, I can't have a house, I can't have a wife, I can't have kids, I can't have, and I have all those things.
Mhm.
So it all depends on like what you want in life. If you want those things, everything will work out, you know.
Definitely, I love that, man. I'll say, what is your it factor? Why do you do what you do?
What is my it factor?
Hmm.
Um, Man, I just well, I was at a convention once and I was showing my stuff to Brian Stouffer. He's a very famous comic book artist, and anyone that I have ever gone up to at a con, they kind of like, they tell you don't ever meet your heroes, and it kind of is true in a way, but when I met him, he just like lifted me up so much that
Mm.
like. I remember walking away and I was very emotional about it. My wife was holding me and she was giving me that support, and I just remember that feeling, and I wanted to pass that feeling on to other people, and to be able to like see them and where they want to go, and like get them fired up. That's what I want, and I from experiencing those other people where they didn't do that, and not everyone can teach. That's just not in them, and you should not expect them to be able to teach you something. But for me, I just want to, I think everyone can draw. I think everybody should just keep pushing forward and it'll all work out. I'll never tell anybody to stop drawing. I
Mhm.
mean, even, and everyone says, hey, I can't even draw a stick figure. And I'm like, man, you can do way more than what you think you can.
Definitely. I love that. I love that, man. And you're right. This is my first comic, but my third book, writing.
Yeah.
And everybody like, man, you figured it out. Are you doing this so much? And I'm like, yeah, I struggle, man. But
Yeah.
or with podcasts, I've been doing it for 7 years. And they're
Yeah.
like, how do you balance all this? How you do it? I said, I do what I love, and I'm not gonna give up because
Yeah.
it's fun, man. And once you're doing something that's fun and you love to do, it
Yeah.
keeps paying you. That money can't even touch.
Yeah. Oh,
What I
yeah.
feel, So like even today, I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, I get the interview, we got Julian. She was like, oh, what did you do? When I told her she was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what's up. We had the line. Okay,
Oh,
cool. That's what
yeah,
means
man.
something to me, man. I'm gonna ride off this for months to come.
Yeah, man. I'm,
Definitely.
I'm always about, anybody that wants me to be somewhere or like, invites me to a show, I'll show up, man. All you gotta do is, you pay for my hotel, obviously,
I'm
but like,
saying that.
I'm not asking money for anything. I
Mhm.
want to be there for the fans. I want to show up because, I just want to spread art to as many people as I possibly can and to make them inspired.
I love that, man. I say your job is so dope.
Yeah,
How is it being a Marvel artist and the Astonishing Spider-Man, Wakanda, Edge of
yeah,
Spider-Man, Captain America, Doorman? That's just the name, just a few.
yeah.
How is that, bro?
You know what, man? It's challenging. I think storytelling is extremely challenging. I think before, I got into to comic books, I wanted to be a fine artist. I wanted to do galleries and stuff like that, and I wanted
Mhm.
because I thought there was an avenue to make more money that way. But when a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you should, draw Doctor Doom," and I was like, "All right, I'll draw Doctor Doom." It was some of the hardest thing I ever had to do because
Mhm.
there's such a specific look to him and then that kind of got me into like Adam Hughes, who was like, man, he get such beautiful women, and it was just such a fine art the way he was doing it. And I was like, oh, okay, you can make fine art, comic book art at the same time.
Mhm.
And that kind of drove me into like wanting to do more comic book works. And I remember there was a guy in a DeviantArt group. That's how old I am, DeviantArt. He they ran a battle artist group where we would draw versus each other and stuff, and people would judge it, and it
Mhm.
was kind of cutthroat in there. But Ramil Hill, he asked me, "Hey, do you want to draw a comic for me?" And this was like maybe 8 years ago, and I
Mhm.
had never drawn a comic before, and I was like, "If you trust me and have faith in me to do it, I will try." And then I did it, and then more and more work just kept coming my way after that. So I really have to thank him for getting me to start doing comics because without him, I don't think I would be in comics, honestly.
Man, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. And that's just like before we started. Um,
Yeah,
that's what I was saying about my illustrator, bro. He literally
yeah,
told me that, and he worked on my cover for my last book. And
yeah,
this time he was like, "Bro, you challenging me." He's like, "I thank God for you, man." I was sitting there
yeah,
like, "Me?" He's like, "Bro,
yeah,
you challenging me to draw something that his mentor had been telling him for years that can take him to the next level." I was
yeah,
like, "Yeah, I'm me." I'm like, "You're already good." So
yeah.
it's cool that get those people placed in our life to be like, "Hey, you should try this," and to see where you are now, man. Hey, that's a blessing. That's
Oh
dope.
yeah.
That's dope, man. So I say, what is your favorite character then to draw, man, and why?
Uh, like I said, Doctor Doom, and
Got you. Okay.
and the weird thing is that my friend who got me to do it, I think I'm chasing after that approval of him. Like, hey, this is my favorite character. I want you to draw my favorite character, and I want to do it in an official capacity.
Hmm.
For him to be able to be like, my friend drew Doctor Doom, my favorite character in an official Marvel comic book would be like a dream come true because then it's like full circle.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, do you have a picture of that first Doctor Doom you drew?
Uh, ooh, man, it's on DeviantArt somewhere in the
Got you.
crevices, man.
Got
But
you.
yeah,
If you find it, let
yeah.
me know, man. If you find, I'm gonna do something for you, man. Let me
Okay, okay. All
know.
right, yeah, I'll find it.
All right. And I'll say, in your opinion, who's the most slept on? Like, I say Marvel character, DC character, and that you think that more stories need to be published on it.
Man, I grew up on, oh, I didn't really grow up on, but I fell in love with Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Hmm.
And you know how each episode they had different like characters, and they just really showcased them in such a way. Like the Elementals, I never cared about the Elementals. If you know about them, like
Hmm.
I never cared about them. But then they had a Plastic Man, and I thought Plastic Man was such a fun character, and
Hmm.
I would love to do a Plastic Man comic book because he's not really a hero kind of in a way, but he's also like trying to get he's kind of like a little trickster and stuff.
Hey,
I just loved him in that show.
I love that, bro. I
Yeah.
love that. Not even say to your point. I seen your drawing of Doorman, like the
Yeah.
Doorman comic,
Yeah.
and I just had got who knew who he was too, man. I seen it on Wonder Man.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, wait a minute, how I missed this for? So I'm talking to my brother-in-law, and he knows a lot about comics, and he was saying,
Yeah.
"You ain't know about Doorman?" And we went down a whole rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
your art is so dope that I sent it to him. So
Yeah.
he ready for that, man.
Yeah. And honestly, man, I was sitting, it was probably like 3 months ago. No, three,
Mhm.
4 months ago. I was in San Antonio with my cousin and we were both tabling and he was like, oh, or maybe it was October. October. Yeah, yeah. And he was like, hey, draw a doorman, and I was like, who are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, he does this, and he's got like skis and stuff. And I was like, I ain't never heard of this. All right, I drew him on a little card for him, and I was like, here. And then he had there was a buddy of mine that was next to me. He drew doorman for him too, and I was like, man, I ain't never gonna heard. And then like a couple months later, they're like, you want to make a doorman comic? I was like, I never even heard of this character until
Uh,
like a couple months ago.
man, that's how it be though. That's how it be.
Yeah.
Say, who are you outside of all you're known for?
Who am I as a person?
Yeah.
Um, Man, I'm pretty obsessive about like you know that's a good question, man. I don't think I really have sat down. I'm a father for sure. I'm a husband.
Mhm.
I'm someone that cares about others. Life is whew, that's a that's a loaded question, man. You got me on that one. I thought we were just sticking to comic books. But man, I'm trying to be most of my life. I'm trying to be genuine. I'm
Mhm.
trying to be who I am, face value. Before I met my wife, I think society makes you kind of like put on a facade of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And when I met her, I just was completely free and clear above all that. I just wanted to be who I was, and just show the real me without any consequences. If people don't like who I am, then it's not for me, and
Mhm.
it's vice versa. So I think that I'm just trying to be genuine. That's the number one thing, I want about my life.
I love that. I love that, bro. That's one of my favorite questions, to be honest, because it does
Yeah.
put people off guard. But the coolest thing is, of course, we can talk about comics all day and stuff, but I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
want to see who the person is.
Yeah.
I'll say so. How did you become a Marvel artist, man?
Well, man, I was making comics and I was just kind of I never pursued it. That's the thing. Most people
Okay.
they spend their whole career trying to, oh, I'm gonna apply for Marvel, I'm gonna apply for DC, and I was just kind of doing my own thing. And one day I got an email and they were like, hey, do you want to draw for Marvel? And I was like, okay, why not? And then they were like, hey, can we see some more work? And I said, okay. I showed them some more work that I had done. They were like, okay, you don't even have to do a test. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, we'll get an editor with you and we'll set you up. And then, I got to do my very first book was Marvel Voices Legacy. And that's actually the same book that Stephanie Williams came out in. So we're both debuting in the same book, so it was quite the honor to, and it's all black creators in that book, writers and Cody Ziegler, a bunch of different Genoa, there's so many different artists that came out in that book, and I was glad to be a part of it. And I had a cover by Olivia Coppel, and so I mean that was, to me, was like the pinnacle. And then after that you kind of just waiting around for your next job, so then
Yeah,
I've been doing it for 5 years, so obviously I'm doing something right. They keep calling me.
that's true. That's
Yeah,
you doing something right, man.
yeah,
I seen your work, and I just got to say,
yeah,
man, it's dynamic. It's
yeah.
unapologetic, and it's like once I saw it, I was like, I gotta have him on the show. But bro, I want him to draw something for me one of these days. Like that's literally what happened. But
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. I love what you do, man.
yeah, I appreciate it, man.
I'll say, what advice would you give that young artist that would love to draw for someone like Marvel or anybody someday?
Man, I think my number one advice would be just to try,
Mhm.
and there's a saying I always go by is that inspiration is the luxury of the hobbyist.
Mm,
So if you don't feel like drawing, then you just gotta make yourself do it.
yeah.
This is a job. You don't feel like going to work and then expect to get paid. That's just how it is, man.
Hmm.
So and then and then I also tell the younger audience, like, you got 10,000 bad drawings in you, you got to get them out.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get to the good drawings. And then understand that you're not going to be good at anything you start. You're just going to suck. Understand that you're not going to be good, and move forward from that. Because once you can, and I also tell people, I got a bunch of sayings. I got them lined up.
Love
Your
that.
best drawings are ahead of you, not in front of you. So you got to think about it that way.
Got you. I love that, bro. I think that same way with writing. Like I see it now. Like I see it with writing books, and I also see
Yeah.
it with podcasting. My wife told it took my wife to be like, "Yeah, you got better," and I was
Yeah.
like, "Huh?" And she's like, yeah, because like she been reading some of the comic, or like I give her a little snippet from it, and she's like, how did you think of this? And I'm like, I don't know, the late, and like you said, the
Yeah.
best work too come when you're tired. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
I done seen some of the greatest things. I finished my whole first chapter tired. Like the baby was born, I was like, got it right. She sleep.
Yeah.
I got to do this. Like a lot happened. I was like, bro, I gotta document this or something. But it's
Yeah.
cool to see that everybody goes through it. You know.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely the struggles, you know. And normally, like my schedule is I wake up, I get the kids going, they're
Mhm.
out the door. I'm making comics till about 4 or 5. Then the kids get home, you know, we'll play, we'll watch TV, we'll eat about till 8. And then when 8 comes around, I go back to my drawing desk until about 2 a.m. You know, and I do that every day. Then the kids wake up at like 6, 7 sometimes.
Mhm.
And, you know, I just repeat that over and over, man.
Man. Yeah, I say so. I only have a few more questions.
It's
I
all
say,
good.
what's a comic then or a character you would like to work on that you haven't got to work on yet?
Man, I'd love to do anything Doctor Doom for sure.
Got
Doctor
you.
Doom or Black Panther, something that is
Uh-huh.
like notable because you know there's certain comic creators that like are known for specific like characters and
Mhm.
that you know they have that people are always going to go up to them and say I loved your run on you know XYZ. So I think it's a good you know to have in your repertoire.
I would love your take on this.
Yeah.
Like I seen your Predator versus
Oh yeah yeah yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah yeah I did do a Predator. Yeah, it was a
Mhm.
commission. Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I was like, bro, I can't wait. This is all the fact that you said Black Panther. I know that day coming. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be the first one at the store when that happens right there.
I'm just saying, man, you know, and I don't like to use my blackness, but I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you get a black artist because I know Chris Allen, I love
Yes.
him, and he was on Black Panther for a while, right? So it's like
Mhm.
having a black artist and a black writer, and you know, it's just there's something about it,
There's
man.
something about it, man. It's just like Blade or seeing
Yeah,
certain things. It's like even when I see your art, I'm like, bro. Or even with my bro, when he showed me, when my artist showed me how my character gonna look, I just
yeah,
sat there and was like, he's like, it ain't my best work. I was like, it ain't. This is good. You ain't even put color to it yet. So like,
yeah,
I definitely want to see you do Doom, man, too, though,
yeah.
because Doom, how big it is now, I can't believe it. I'm not.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing it for a long time, man, for sure.
That's
You know, and
the
I think sometimes when you present something to someone, you want to lower their expectations to then get them excited about it. You
thing.
know, oh, I mean, mostly everything that I ever deliver, I try to put my best work out there. Sometimes, you know, when I would do a bunch of time lapses and I would put them on Instagram and you know other artists would be like, "Oh, that's why you redraw it over and over." It's like because I don't like it. I need everything to
Yeah.
flow a very specific way, and that's just part of my process. And they
Mhm.
were like, "Oh, you're doing too much." And I'm like, "I okay, that's that you do less if you want to, but me, I'm gonna deliver my tippy top, you know, best work that I can, you know."
You perfected the hell out that fuck
Yeah.
ice, that damn
Yeah.
Super Punk Spider Man. That
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I've seen that multiple times. I'm like, yes, I like
Yeah.
it. I like
Yeah, it's getting bigger, man. And I, you know, I actually am getting it colored by uh, it's the current artist on our current colorist on X-Men. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
is a good friend of mine. Like, yeah, we worked together on a few projects, and he's super laid back. You know, he's just had a little boy himself, so
Okay.
it's like everybody's having kids now, man. We all know, you know. Yeah,
It's a blessing, man. It's a
yeah,
blessing, and it's like, dang, okay, make you work harder too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I say, what inspiration do you hope to have, with your work as a comic artist, as a designer, and to lead as people see your work?
Man, I just want to show them that, you know, you can do it
Mhm.
and that the road that is paved, hopefully I can pave a road for someone that's behind me because in this job, if everyone you ask, like, how do you do something? How do you get in? How do you XYZ? Man, nobody knows. Nobody
Yeah.
knows. And nobody can like look towards someone that is already doing it, you know, because everyone, it used to be back in the day, there's a lot of gatekeeping. You know,
Mhm.
nobody would tell you anything. Nobody would let you get into meetings or anything like with anyone. So it was a very like secluded. But I'm an open door. Like I don't, there's no gatekeeping about me at all. I'll tell you how to do it, but I would say like 90% of the people don't want to do it. They don't
Mm.
want to do the hard work.
Yeah.
So there's no need to gatekeep anything because they're not going to do the work. So it's like,
Mhm.
I'll give you the answers, but you might not like them. Just make things, make it happen. Because if someone was to say, well, I want to, draw for Marvel, let me see your sequential pages. Well, I don't have any. Well, then what do you expect?
Mhm. You're
So
right
that's
about
how,
that.
yeah, that's how I see it. Make
You're
things.
definitely right about that. That happened, man. Funny story, man. Chris Paul.
Yeah.
It was an interview came out. My wife was like, "Hey, you should reach out." Da, da, da. You know why I got the interview?
Why?
I had all type of stuff from the It Factor. I had all my shows. I
Hmm.
had all types of stuff. So when the guy seen it, he was like, "Yeah, all these people that have signed up, man, you got all the reels and everything. Like, how long you
Yeah.
been doing this?" I said, "I've been doing this many years." He's like, "Yep, you good. Like, I want you to interview. Like, matter of fact, I want you to ask these questions. What you think about it?" I was like, so every time I tell that story, I always tell people, you never know who's watching, who's looking, but
Hmm.
also just do your work. Just do it. It's gonna speak for itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Speak for itself, man. I say, do you happen to have any questions for me?
Uh, so how long you been doing this exactly?
So since 2019, man, I started with one of my best friends. He does all my editing and everything like that. And
Hmm.
from there, um, just reaching out to people that was in tech first, because outside of this, I'm a data analyst.
Okay.
So the cool thing was, at first I was like, I'm just gonna interview people in tech. I'm gonna do this, and then I got to talk to my mom, my then girlfriend, my now wife.
Yeah.
And funny, man, she was like, "Hey, you should interview athletes. You should interview everybody."
Yeah.
And once it started happening, man, it kept taking off, and
Yeah.
I started seeing that the impact is given to other people. So
Okay.
definitely,
So what's your thoughts about AI right now in its current state?
I love AI. Don't get me wrong, but the cool thing is I got to see it in college, like those early years. With it being around so long, it's been around for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
But just the early years of seeing like the chat GPT stuff like that. So I kind of know how to use it. I just would tell people, just be very careful on how you use it. Learn it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't be scared of it. But as far as drawing, I don't like AI with drawing.
Yeah.
No, I don't
Yeah.
like the way it does it. I don't like it with music. It's a lot of things that I don't like.
I mean,
But
the music stuff is so wild to me.
yeah,
I
it is crazy. It's even with man, that's what somebody said. Yeah, you should get AI to draw out your script. This you
yeah.
could, you know who I am. I would never
Yeah.
do that. I
And
never
they
do that.
you saw the Supreme Court said that you can't copyright any AI art. So that's
Mhm.
out the window now. So
Yeah.
anybody, if you made it, you would just someone just take your idea, print it out, and you can't do nothing about it?
The only thing AI does for me, it might read something like I can like writing wise, I might write something and look and see something and say, okay, let me see how AI look at this. But other
Mhm.
than that, I don't give AI anything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't give AI.
Yeah, it's definitely a battle. Honestly, I've had to cut off quite a few creators that I've worked with in the past because they were dipping their toe in AI, and I'm like, well, I can't support that. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't care how you can even like separate the two because once you poison the well, so I can't trust you to do anything at this point. So I would be weary for anyone that is trying, even for references. All the AI imagery will do is just recycle what's already there. So
That's
they're
the
not
thing.
coming up with new ideas, you
Mhm.
know?
And that's it. It's not like writing. Like with a lot of writing, you have to tell it what to do, right? You have to say,
Yeah.
hey, okay, let me. But I know I'm not, as a writer, as a student writer, I'm not gonna just let me put my whole story in here. You
Yeah.
tell me that.
Yeah.
Or, hey, give me these podcasts. It's not gonna be authentic. I'll be up here asking you somewhere. So how was it to draw Batman when you
Yeah.
drew it for this? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that people have to learn how to use it as a tool. But you
Yeah.
are right. It's some people that's misusing it and they catch up with them, man. It's
Oh
definitely.
yeah. There's been quite a few artists that have tried to get away with it, especially over at DC that
Mhm.
got caught, and now I've never seen their work ever again. Like, so
Oh,
they got blacklisted, man. Even to even question it, you better have the receipts on everything you create nowadays because I keep a time lapse on everything I draw,
smart.
so it shows exactly how I'm doing it step by step. Because a lot of people get accused and then they can never find the receipts, and so you're just gonna be like labeled an AI artist. So
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't.
there's even programs where it'll color it for you. Like, so you got to be careful of that stuff too. Yeah, they got the AI art to
But it's
color
people like that
comics.
too. Last funny thing, it's people now that hit me up was like, yeah, you work on your book, you got your artists, this happened to my friend. They was telling me the story or whatever. And basically the guy said he could do something.
Yeah.
And every time they tried to show him, he tried to make something real quick. Like you said, it can't reinvent it. It can't make anything
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
But he kept trying to show them that, and they paid this man over 1,000 some dollars, man. Like, and don't get me wrong, I don't care how rich you is, $1,000 still a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting there like, for no art, like you never. And they was
Yeah.
like, hey, do you know? I'm like, my artist, I can drive to his house and he can drive to mine. We talking,
Yeah.
man. He
That's good too,
draws.
man.
This is what he does. This is his profession.
That's good too because I feel like there's a lot of art writers that get creators that are like on Fiverr or something like that are outside of the United States, and
Hmm.
then when their book comes out, they go to conventions, but they can never put the artist on because they're far away, they're in a studio,
Hmm.
they can't celebrate the book with them. That to me is weird, man. I don't
Yeah.
like
I
that at
would never
all.
do that. I literally
Yeah,
want to be able to be like, hey, pull up, this the dude that drew so and
yeah,
so. So
yeah.
I'm with you on that. So thank
So
you for the
it's
day though, man.
yeah, man. Yeah,
Thank you for the
it's
day. Thank you for
it's
all you do, man.
yeah, man, I'm trying to put it on for and I'm plus I'm from Texas, so Texas gets a bad rap, but
Mhm.
I'm here trying to do it. I never had to move away. I never had to go to New York. I never had to go to California to get my job. It came to me. So that's what I tell people too, man. You work hard enough, you put your stuff out there. It's not art until you put it out there, man.
Yes, sir, man. So I definitely be reaching out to you, man, once the
Yeah.
show come out. And you got a great following in me because I'm a dang sure be reaching out to you, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
Yeah,
what you do.
yeah, man. I appreciate it, man.
But you have a great weekend, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I'll talk to you
All right,
soon.
then,
All
bro.
right. Later.